Hi everyone, my name's Scott. Welcome to the Planes, Trains, Everything, and welcome to Glasgow Airport at 6 AM. If you saw the thumbnail and read 1,660 miles day trip just to ride a train and you thought, what kind of an idiot does that? You must be new to this channel. Right, I'm going to get airside, then I'll explain to you what I'm up to. So what am I up to? Plan of action is to fly Easyjet to Geneva. I have a 1.5 hour connection time at Geneva. I catch a train onto the town of Nyon on the shore of Lake Geneva. From there I have a connection onto a small narrow gauge train up to the Swiss-French border at a place called La Cure, which is nothing more than a village. I've got a 1.5 hour connection at Geneva. That's doable. It shouldn't take too long to get through formalities. I might even have time for a coffee and some breakfast because I won't have a chance later on. The connection at Nyon's a little bit challenging. It is 9 minutes. Now in the UK you would need 29 minutes to change trains, but in Switzerland 9 minutes should do. In fact, I might have enough time to go and get a fondue and get back to the station to catch my train. That's how efficient the trains are in Switzerland, or they're supposed to be anyway. 9 minutes, well, it's a through fare, it's a through connection, so if I do miss the connection, in theory they should allow me onto the next train an hour later. Why am I doing this crazy journey just to travel on a train? Well, it dates back to March 1986. I was doing the Grand Tour of Europe. I had the backpack, I had the Thomas Cook Rail timetable, and I had the Lonely Planet guide. That's all you needed in those days. And I remember travelling from Geneva to Nyon and then looking for the connecting train up to La Cure. Do you think I could find that train? Couldn't find it anywhere. I had to ask one of the staff, and one of the staff pointed out, it's out there on the street. There it was, a narrow gauge train in the street. And to begin its journey, it actually trundled through the streets of Nyon, then found its right of way, and then wound its way up this mountainside. Now, apparently, part of it is underground, so it's lost a little bit of its charm, but I still want to do that journey, and that's why I'm going to Geneva for the day, to travel on this little orange train. Right, I'll see you when we arrive at Geneva Airport. Hopefully I'll have time for breakfast. I forgot to mention I've got seat 10C, 10 Charlie, which is in the front third of the aircraft. It's an aisle seat, so I should be able to make a sharp exit on arrival at Geneva. Welcome to Geneva. This is the first time I've visited Switzerland in about 10 years. It's well overdue. On that flight we had about 50 to 60 kids going on a ski week somewhere in the Geneva area, and I thought, please don't let me get stuck behind these kids. So I got stuck behind the kids, but they were all pulled aside because they didn't all have their passports handy, and I was able to fast track all the way through. It only took me about 10 minutes to get to the desk, so it was quite a long walk, and like 10 seconds to get through. Right, I'm going to have some coffee. Well, the service at that place was glacial in speed, and that's appropriate as we're in Switzerland. Right, we're at the station now, somewhere in amongst all these shops, and I'll catch my train, which hopefully will be on time. I'll tell you one thing, there's loads of shops here. I'm just not sure how many of these are going to be open when I get back at 9 o'clock tonight. I might stock up on supplies just in case, because I don't think there's going to be much open at La Cure. It is Sunday, it's just a village, and I'm there for 4 hours, and it might be very white and snowy. And of course I won't have time at Nyon because I've only got 9 minutes. Right, yeah, let's get some supplies just in case. This isn't my train, this is an intercity train to Brig. I just came down to have a look. Platform 1's over that way, and we've got around about 25 minutes. Just checking my train again, on time as you'd expect here in Switzerland. Here's an observation for you. I went to my local post office before I left home and bought 20 Swiss francs. I always like to have some local currency just in case. 20 Swiss francs came to exactly £20. The exchange rate was 1.0000, and the woman behind the counter had to double check everything because she thought her machine had malfunctioned. So you get exactly on par. So I went to that rather posh looking coffee shop expecting the worst. It was only about £9 for 2 mini croissants and a coffee. So I thought that's about on what I expected. I then went to Dunkin' Donuts, 500ml bottle of water. That set me back £4. So I'm going to have to watch it. Switzerland is not a bargain basement destination. I must remember that. Right, let's go down to platform 1 now. The train's due very shortly. The weather report says the temperature in Geneva should be about 10 degrees Celsius, and that for a boy from Scotland should be fine. But I'll tell you what, down in this station here, it's pretty chilly. I reckon it's a lot less than 10 degrees Celsius. I've already got one base layer on, and there could be another one later when we get to La Cure. That is going to be cold up there. I might be a bit sad. Actually, I am a bit sad, but I really like the Swiss Railways colour scheme. Dark grey, white and red. It really seems to work. It looks very professional, very smart. And I reckon that's why Swiss Railways run on time, because of the colour scheme. No idea where this train's going, but I know where it's not going, and that's Nyon. Okay, this train has just gone from geschlossen to not geschlossen, and this is our train. I'm going to sort of position myself in the middle of the train because, like I said, I've got 9 minutes and I don't know where this connecting train is. I do know it's underground, but how you get to it, not sure. Righty-ho, this is an 8-car train. This is car number 4. I think that's the one we should use. Let's go. Not only is this a double-decker, but it's a really good design as well. Very efficient. They've got kind of communal chatting areas back there. That's cool. Not sure which way the train's going. It might be going backwards, but like I said, it's only for 20 minutes. Let's just wing this. Right, 9 minutes. What could possibly go wrong? Nine minutes and counting. You know something, I'm not fluent in German, nowhere near it, but I know enough keywords to get the gist of what's being said. And across the aisle there were 2 women speaking in German, and I'll tell you what, I could not understand a word they were saying because it was Swiss German and it's nothing like Hochdeutsch. Wow. When I joked I'd have enough time to go and get a fondue and still catch my train, I wasn't kidding. That was so simple. Aha, and here's our train. It's changed its colour. It used to be orange, now it's red. Papa? Made it with 7 minutes to spare. Now that is Swiss efficiency. That was one beautiful train ride. I'm so glad I came to do it again. I wasn't sure if there was going to be snow up here or not, but I think this answers my question. It's quite deep up here. I'm going to walk out of the village a little bit, try and catch this train going past in about 20 minutes, and then I'm just going to wander around the village itself. The actual border between Switzerland and France passes right through the village, and there's actually a customs station. And being a person who suffers from frontierophilia, a love of land borders, I have to check that out. But first things first, let's catch this train further down the line. I looked at a map of the town or the village last night, and I thought I can memorize that because there's really only one road in and one road out, so you can't really get lost. Right, now where was this level crossing that I spotted? Aha, this looks promising. I had to put the hat on, it's getting a bit chilly now. Just waiting for the 1443 to Nyon. And I've spoken to a couple of people already. They're all very nice people here, very polite. It's always a bonjour monsieur. You wouldn't get that back in Glasgow, I can tell you. Right, the train is here in about 5 minutes. I think I'm in a pretty good position for an excellent shot. So I'm just trying to walk over a cattle grid covered in snow there. Whoa. Yeah, I think this will do. This is a good spot. So tell me, who wouldn't want to travel 1,600 miles in one day to travel on that little train? What do you mean anyone in their right mind? That's a great little train. And do you know what the good thing is? If you catch a little narrow gauge train in Switzerland and it's on a branch line, you've got to catch it on the way back as well. And that's exactly what I'm doing in around about 4 hours. I'm going to explore the rest of the town or the village, and then I'm going to catch the train back. I have the luxury of 12 minutes connection at Nyon, which is great. I might even have time for a coffee, because I don't think I'm going to get much here. And then we get to Geneva Airport, where things get a bit interesting. Well, for me they get interesting, for you they're probably ho-hum. I can assure you of one thing: there are no McDonald's or Burger Kings here at La Cure. Now, I did actually find a couple of restaurants online that are kind of connected to hotels. You can imagine what the prices are like and what the cuisine is like. Nothing kind of ticked the boxes for me, I'm afraid. And whether they're open on a Sunday, that's another thing. So let's go exploring, and I'll see you when we get to the border. This is an interesting place. It's called La Franco-Suisse, and it's called that because it's right on the border. In fact, I believe the border runs right through the building about there. How cool is that? Do you know what's scary? I was here in 1986, 36 years ago, and I could have ridden that very train. But since then, Nyon railway station, instead of being on street level, is now underground. They've invested a lot of money in brand new trains, and a lot of the stations have been refurbished. But it's the same old railway, isn't it? How's that for a great looking barn? Switzerland's a funny place. Not funny, haha, it's funny. Along with Liechtenstein, they're not members of the EU, they're not part of Schengen, and yet they have open borders. And that's because they are surrounded by the EU. No matter which way you go, you will always cross into the EU, so they may as well be Schengen. That's why they have open borders. The only difference is if you're flying into Geneva, for example, you get your passport checked, but otherwise I've just walked straight from Switzerland into France. La Cure is effectively a border town, but most of the activity seems to be on the Swiss side, that's for sure. Once you cross the border into France, there's not a lot to see. Right, let's head back to the action side of the border. Okay, I think I might have exhausted all of the attractions of La Cure. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to play the dumb tourist thing, and I'm going to jump on the train in approximately 30-35 minutes to return back to Nyon. The ticket I've got is actually for a specific departure, but that's not for another 2.5-3 hours. And like I said, the fun factor is starting to drop, and so is the temperature. It's getting decidedly chilly up here. As there were no ticket checks on the way up, like I said, I'll do the dumb tourist thing, and I'll see if they firstly check my ticket. They might not. If they do, I'll play the dumb tourist thing and say, sorry, can I not change this? And 3, worst case scenario, I buy a brand new ticket from La Cure to Nyon. But at least I'll now have a couple of hours in Nyon. I'll be able to walk down to the shore of Lake Geneva and maybe get a proper meal like a pizza and a beer. Ooh, this is worth the risk, you know that? Yeah. That there is the first class part of the train. I'm curious to see what first class looks like. Very nice. Right, down to standard class for me. I'm going to sit on the other side of the train this time because I was missing out on a lot of scenery. Well, that went according to plan, no ticket check again, so I'm here in Nyon a lot earlier than expected. I'm going to go and find some food because I just realised that I'm hungry because apart from a cup of coffee and 2 small croissants earlier on at Geneva Airport, I've eaten nothing today. I am starving, so I'm on the hunt for food. My cunning plan is to try and find McDonald's. Not that I'm planning on eating at McDonald's, but that's plan B. I want to see when they close tonight because today is Sunday. If I can't find anywhere else, I know where to go to. I've also discovered a Burger King. Let's see when they close. Good news, they close at 11 PM on a Sunday and they're directly opposite the station. So plan B, Burger King. Right, I am going to try and find a way down to the lake now. I may as well because I've got time to kill. If I don't find a nice little place to eat, it'll be Burger King. One thing I like about Switzerland, it's absolutely spotless. Not one single piece of litter to be seen anywhere. Oh, there is. Oh, look, 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 look. Okay, the only piece of litter in the whole of Switzerland, and I found it. Right, where is this Lake Geneva? We're still going downhill, so we must be heading in the right direction. I don't actually know where I'm heading, but there's a lot of people here, and this looks like the old part of town, so this will do me nicely. And I just got a glimpse of the lake. Ooh. And do we have a Christmas market? We might. A Christmas market in Switzerland. I know it's not very festive or in fact very Swiss, but I got 2 empanadas, 1 chicken and 1 cheese. I thought the Swiss know their cheese, so this must be good. It's better than good, it's absolutely excellent. That was a good choice. Nyon is a lovely little town. Or is it a city? Either way, it's beautiful. And straight ahead, Lake Geneva. "5 p.m. and it's getting a bit gloomy, but it's very pretty down here, and it's not very cold at all, unlike the top of that mountain up at La Cure. Phew. Nyon ended up being a lovely surprise. I had no idea it was so beautiful. I just thought it was like an industrial suburb of Geneva, but it's actually a beautiful place. And I'm so glad I caught that earlier train from La Cure to come here. Alright, I'm heading back to the station because at least I know where I am there. I don't want to get lost here, but I've still got probably another hour to go before I catch my train back to Geneva Airport. And here we are back at Geneva Airport. Good news and bad news. The bad news is, originally when I booked this trip, I was looking at possibly staying overnight in a hotel either at the airport or in the city centre. The prices are extortionate. I don't know if that's because it's festive season, whether it's because it's ski season, whether it's because it's just Geneva, but the prices were a budget breaker. It wasn't going to happen. So I'm going to rough it here at the airport and I'm heading back to Blighty tomorrow morning. The good news is there is a lounge which I'm going to access tomorrow at 6 a.m. and it's the Marhaba Lounge. Marhaba Lounge. Years ago I had a client who used to travel with Emirates and he connected flights in Dubai and he'd always ask me to book this Marhaba Lounge for him. And so tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. or thereabouts, I'm hoping to find out what the fuss was all about. In the meantime, I'm going to try and find a cup of coffee. I really need to get up to cruising altitude and maybe something to eat as well. Well guys, I survived the night at Geneva Airport. I found a nice quiet corner and I set up base camp there last night, and after about an hour I was joined by 6 homeless people. They seem to be tolerated inside the airport. They're not moved on. They didn't cause any problems, they kept to themselves, but how shall I put this? They're probably not the quietest of people, so I had to move to another area. Got 0 hours sleep as expected. So it is approaching 6 o'clock. I am going to get through customs or immigration, get airside, find this lounge, and then get a badly needed cup of coffee and maybe some breakfast. I'll see you then. Normally you can't get into lounges until 3 hours before departure. I'm going to try 3.5 hours and I'll let you know how it goes. And that was the Marhaba Lounge at Geneva Airport. The food and drink selection was somewhere between bare minimum and average, although I must say they did have beer on tap. That was a good thing. I was surprised to see what the normal paying price is when you go to the door. £44 per person. Value for money? I don't think so. Right, I'm just waiting for the gate number to be announced. I'll get on that flight. I'm going to close my eyes for 2 hours until we get to Edinburgh, and I'll speak to you when we arrive there. B43. And we're here in Edinburgh. Here's an interesting factoid courtesy of YouTube. Did you know around 90% of the people who have watched this video are non-subscribers? Could I please ask you to subscribe if you haven't already done so, because it only encourages me and it guarantees that you won't miss out on any future videos. And let's face it, you're worth it. So would you travel for more than 1,600 miles over 24 hours just to travel halfway up a mountainside in Switzerland in a narrow gauge train? Probably not. So why is it I'm the only one that seems to think that's a great idea? It was a great idea. The scenery was fantastic. Nyon surprised me. I'll have to go back and explore that place in detail. And the food at the Christmas market was mwah. Anyway guys, thanks very much for your support. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.